That was a tricky watch for England and England fans. And arguably, there are a lot of things to say about this England side, as England aren't saying very much with their feet at the moment. It is one of those videos where you don't want to go into it and go, I don't want to have to make this video, but sometimes you don't want to have to make that video. However, I do have a lot to say, and I kind of got a few opinions on England that I'm kind of conflicted about. That almost everything about England at the moment will leave England fans conflicted. They love this generation of players, but going into this World Cup feels like the end, as a friend of mine said to me this evening. I was also feeling like, even before they said that to me, I was kind of thinking of this idea of, well, you know what? Gareth Southgate has done a lot of good things for England. I sat down with him myself for a Jordan Henderson documentary, and we sat and spoke not only about Jordan, but about the ethos of England, what it means to be an England player, how he's changed things, how he's tried to change things. And all those things have so much merit. And I'd imagine that's why he was kept on for such a long time. The England players love him. There is a real unity around the camp. But my overriding feeling was that sometimes things need to change within that camp. It doesn't necessarily have to be Gareth Southgate. It could be that the approach changes, the formation gets an upgrade, things begin to come better. So we realised that Harry Maguire maybe isn't that guy at the back there, and we put two in at the back, giving us numerical superiority somewhere else on the field, right? And I get it, like 3-5-2 is, or 3-4-3 or whatever you want to call this, is very much a numerical superiority further up the pitch. But the England formation blatantly isn't working right now. Not in the sense that it is so close that, another 0-0, another one with slightly less. It's not working because it's not contributing to some of England's strongest attributes. I'm not saying that it's all about winning a game. I actually don't think it's all about winning a game. I think a lot of people going into this tournament will feel much better if they lost against Italy, but felt like they played well. Now, in order to keep his job, Gareth Southgate has sort of played a very good political card early on when things were going well. He said, well, I need another contract. I need to go further. It kind of looked as if the England camp were therefore investing in him in the long term. And believe me, I think they probably were. A lot of people are. I certainly felt compelled by him after I spoke to him. I felt it was a very compelling speaker. I felt it was quite actually an inspirational energy to be around. And he was actually a smart guy that clearly knew what he was talking about and was deserving of respect. But respect and criticism, well, if you respect someone, then surely you criticize what it is that you see as a deficiency of theirs or see as something that they can improve on. You're not saying, therefore, you don't respect them. What you're saying is, if I can see this, I want to know what it is that you're seeing. Now, cast the Nations League out, I couldn't care less at this during a World Cup year about any other competition but that. And that's kind of what I'm saying. Going into this World Cup, after the start of a season where players should be fit, where players are just getting up to that level where it's like, okay, things are sort of cooking here. We can see them playing well under Conte and at Dortmund and, beginning to get things clicking at City and Liverpool and all these different places, right? And Chelsea, things are looking better there, right? But then they come to England and things don't look better. Now, granted, if this was a new manager, a new system, something different that was going on there, I'd say, okay, maybe he needs some time to get these ideas over to these players. But he's had that time. He's had time to implement a formation, implement what it is that he was trying to do, and maybe even upgrade that, maybe even take that to the next level as these players that, by the way, he's consistently stuck by, know each other better. Begin to work out, well, if we're doing this in training, here's what's happening here. If here's what's happening over here, then I'm doing this. It doesn't seem to have changed all that much. The knowledge of the team and the synergy between them doesn't seem to be improving all that much at this point, to the point where England are reduced to taking pot shots from a distance. Now, on the other side, Italy have been very up and down in recent years. Italy have won something so significant that it felt huge to them, and then not qualified for the other thing that they, in the modern era, would want to feel synonymous with, the World Cup. They are what they would consider to be custodians of classic and modern football, the defensive side of things, but they've also managed to upgrade in the modern era. Mancini has lit some sort of a fire under that side, which them was very quickly put out. But the point around that was, going into that tournament, people in Italy believed when they went and won something. People in Italy believed that there was something they could get behind, that there was a compelling factor to this side that was bringing them all together. Granted, England fans felt similar in some ways, but the other aspect was we knew that there were holes in there. Now, maybe they knew there were holes in Italy, but at least they felt like there was a North Star as to what they were playing towards, where they were going with it, what the style of football was they should expect, how they should expect this team to play. What else was attractive about that Italy side? The personnel, the manager, all these kind of things, the unity, the way that they didn't seem to have this kind of issue that previous Italian sides had within Europe on multiple different levels, not only to do with confidence, but also synergy between the side, but also just understanding all those sorts of things. When Italy, that feels quite far away for England right now, especially in Italy, in one of the final games that Italy will ever play at San Siro, a blah 1-0 win against England. And that's kind of what England are competing in now, blah football matches. I saw some tweets, it was a really good tweet from an old friend, and he said something like, England, USA is guaranteed to be a 1-1. You can't go into a tournament feeling this way. In the next game, which is a home game against Germany, they have to find a way to galvanise the England fans around this England team. There will be friendlies before the World Cup, sure. But people want to have a long feeling. We don't want the players feeling for a very long time, what's this leading to? Where's this one going? Now, on the other side of that, there are also some positive performances in there. Jude Bellingham, a good light tonight, but didn't quite have the control of the game that he needed. Same for Declan Rice. Those would, by the way, be my starting two in midfield, or maybe if you had a third in there at some point, by far. There's so much control. But there are times also when I then go, and the reason they are by far, by the way, is because they're playing regularly. If Calvin Phillips was playing more regularly, I think I would have a more compelling argument for him. But he's made a career decision, and fair play to him. More power to you. But he's not playing regularly enough right now. And the question is, can you put Calvin Phillips in that team if he's not playing regularly right now? Also, who'd you put him in for, Rice or Bellingham? Because both of them are very dynamic, compelling players who took a few pot shots, but also seem to give England an element of control. You could almost ask, are they too similar? Not in the sense of, hey, these guys play the same, but do they try and achieve do they not have, is there enough yin and yang, I guess is what I'm saying in that midfield? Not are they the same player, but is there enough balance? My answer would be no right now. I don't think there isn't. And I get it, like people said there was new balance and good balance in this system and they really enjoyed it. The outcome is not one of balance at the moment for England. And I get it. Maybe we say hey, we're going to keep going with this into the World Cup. We're going to see how this one plays out. Because we don't have another option as to whether we see how this one plays out or not. That's the frustrating factor. Like I said at the start of the video, we're going into this one thinking, this feels like the end of something. This feels like a last dance type scenario. Not a, hey, check out all the young, talented English players here. Bellingham, Rice, James, keep feeling that Phil Foden was in the team tonight. All these players are looking almost as if they don't even know each other. Now, sure, I see that there are some fundamentals that Gareth Southgate is trying to get in there, and I can appreciate some of those fundamentals. But England should be beyond those fundamentals at this point. These guys have had more than long enough together. He's been more than loyal enough to these guys, and we shouldn't be bringing any of this Harry Maguire PR rubbish into the camp with us. And I get it. There might be some language issues between De Gea and Harry Maguire at the back. What's your excuse when you play for England? There might be some issues with the other aspects of his game. He doesn't like playing, if you were to put him in the Man City side, he'd feel this way. He would play this way. No. At this point, I feel like there is too much of a PR machine surrounding this England side that sometimes rewrap what it is that England fans want to say. Well, don't talk like that, mate. You've been a bit too critical of the players over there. Oh, you're just not part of the unity. You don't understand what is going on with this England team. I've been inside that bubble. I felt that unity. I felt that good feeling. But situations change. That's the point here. Gareth Southgate is and has been a good influence on England, but needs and situations change within these times. And I don't want to have to say this before a World Cup tournament, but at the moment he needs to change things. Now, whether that's his responsibility and whether he's been told, keep the ship level, keep things moving forward, managers need to keep things evolving. They need to evolve with what is going on. They need to be adaptable to what is being thrown at them. And I thought that was kind of what we were building towards with this England team. I thought the three at the back was to make them more adaptable so that whatever they were put up against could come at them and they would then be able to go, okay, well, we can work around this. This is way too close. And I get it's international football and we shouldn't expect a blowout against Italy. But this is international football here. And you can't. The reason the consistency has been there, the reason that we have got tactically intelligent players and adaptable guys is so they are tactically intelligent and adaptable, right? Rice is meant to be able to read the game. Bellingham is meant to be able to read the game and play in such a way. Harry Kane is meant to be that captain that leads them in such a way to get them to that point. None of these attributes that I'm currently talking about seem to be there. Now, I'm not saying that they aren't possible to get out of these guys. I'm not saying, therefore, they don't exist. I'm not saying, therefore, that Southgate doesn't have another level he can take these players to, because to doubt him, I think, at this point, would be a little foolish. But at the same time, I don't know what alternative you have when you're looking at that series of results. So, I say it with exasperation. I think there needs to be a change with England. I also wonder whether there is an element of running out of momentum. The momentum that was part of that Gareth Southgate era has been drained by some people in the media, possibly by even people like me who doubted it at one point, possibly even by people who made it more of a task than they did a pleasure to play for England. And when that balance goes, when that bubble expands a little too far and begins to look like it's going to pop, do you want it to pop? Or do you go, you know what, maybe it's best that we move things on quickly here. Now, maybe England don't have a succession plan and that's part of the problem. But maybe if they don't, that's still okay. Maybe both the managers they wanted in this position is or are currently in other positions. In which case, I would encourage England to think outside the box. Having said all of that, with the World Cup coming up, England fans aren't left with much alternative. Now, I get that. The attitude then is, well, mate, you don't have much alternative here. Get behind the lads. It's not me saying don't do that. What I am saying is, though, because we've not been left with much alternative, our sense of unity with that side, therefore, will be more difficult to recall, will be more difficult to instill. Because people go, well, I've got these kind of nagging doubts back here, but I sort of know I need to push those to the back of my head. By the way, people had those at the last Euros as well. No one says they need to go from doubters to believers. No one is doing a Jurgen Klopp on this side. No one's doing a Pep Guardiola where we need to be part of that cult. In no way is Gareth Southgate asking for that. And sometimes I think he gets framed in that way. But what I think is being asked of England fans, or what is being told to England fans too consistently at the moment is, you're not behind the team if you don't 100% invest in what is going on here. Fans also have a right to ask questions. They are the custodians almost as equally as anyone who's playing on the pitch. If they are going around the world with them, whether you can travel or you can't travel with this team, you are still an England fan who has the right to ask questions, who has the right to say, does this feel a little sanitized to you? Does this feel passionate enough? We have rights to ask questions. And the responsibility that comes with that is that then you have to support the team if those questions are answered. But if the questions are ignored and the questions are rebuffed or the questions are told not now, when is the time? Now, during the Nations League thing, should be when we're having these honest conversations. We shouldn't let it then bleed over into the World Cup because it's no, it's not now, mate. So what I'm saying is, no one's saying sack Gareth Southgate immediately. That's a ridiculous thing to say before a World Cup. No one is saying these guys are not good enough. No one is saying they don't have the playing ability or they don't have the wherewithal or the nous or any of those things. They prove that on a weekly basis, a majority of the squad. Some of the guys that Gareth Southgate has been loyal to, I'd imagine, feel a little confused themselves. There will be other people who are not in the squad right now who will also be a little confused themselves. I'm confused by some of that. So I can't imagine how it feels for these England players who aren't in the team, who must be looking at it and going, Harry Maguire was there? Did you put Harry Maguire in there? So I want to know what your England take is in the comments below. I want to know what you're feeling, how it is going, what you think you would do right now if you were Gareth, what you would do if you were one of the players, what you want to do as a fan. Maybe this isn't the World Cup you want to win. Maybe Qatar isn't the World Cup you want to win. Maybe there are questions over the whole thing at FIFA right now. maybe those aren't for me to answer. Maybe those aren't questions that I should be asking. They are. But with that means there's time for this England team to change. That means maybe the pressure isn't on in the same way. That means there are other things that these England guys can do, that we as fans can do, that we can say, all these kind of angles. I just want to know what your take is. Because too often at the last World Cup, or at the last Euros, I got told, shh, no mate, not now. No, you're negative, whoa. And I get it, they went far, fantastic. My worry at the moment is they go out the round of 16, or the quarterfinals. And we try and repaint that as something. Very grateful for what Gareth has done. But I also think that England fans have a right to ask questions. And we have a right to hear an element of accountability and responsibility with those. It cannot just continue as these broad, positive statements and, well, the England players like him. We've heard that enough. There needs to be a freshness to this now. There should feel like a freshness going into a World Cup, or a knowing, one or the other. Maybe there's a scale in between, or maybe there's a scale further down where it feels like The Last Dance. Like I said, maybe The Last Dance is an inspirational thing for these guys. But it needs to be clear, it needs to be tangible, it needs to feel like it's there so the fans can cotton onto it and work out what the vibe is here we're going for. So let me know, what's your vibe? What's your thing? What are you going for with this England side? Do you care as an England fan at the moment about the Nations League? Or is it just whoever that squad is for the World Cup, I'm getting behind them, I'm sticking with them, we're all good. I've got your back, Gareth. Because that's how I want to feel. I really enjoyed speaking to Gareth Southgate and I find him a very compelling character. Anyway, let me know in the comments below and I'll chat to you guys later. Much love. Bye.